Yo, what's up, everybody? How you doing? What's up? What's up? This is Coach Renz. Hello, this is your Coach Renz. Gonna take a little time. I know it's been about 3 days since we had a conversation. So let's see about getting one in today. To give people a little bit of time to get on, about 1 or 2 minutes. While I'm doing that, let me go ahead and I want to thank everybody who have had great things to say, who have been kind, good words, encouragement. I appreciate that. Also, I want to thank everyone on my Patreon who are keeping my YouTube channel going through Patreon, who donates there, and those on my YouTube channel who subscribe, everybody who follows me on Facebook. I appreciate everyone. Today we're going to continue and talk about this blackout situation, blackout, and as well as what we should be doing concerning riots and this movement of energy that we have going on right now, and how we can best handle this. We got a lot of voices right now. There's a lot of voices. People complaining, people protesting, people starting organizations, much in the same way. I'm processing paperwork right this week to begin an organization that will allow us to truly do what's going to make a difference in our situation. That's what we want to talk about today. I also want, if you're in a relationship, join me and my wife tonight. Usually we do Marriage Mondays, but we're doing it tonight at 9 o'clock on our Tag Team Marriage YouTube channel and our Tag Team Wedding Facebook page. Ebony Garrett said, "Hi, I know it's Blackout Tuesday, but I have a question. Where is the NAACP? They usually are always involved this time. This time it seems as if they are invisible, other than the CEO who appeared on CNN." Here's the thing about, first let me establish Blackout Tuesday. From my understanding, this morning when I first saw Blackout Tuesday, I thought that it was the idea that people were going to be silent, and of course I said myself, there will be no silence from me. Then later on in the day, I realized through a young lady sent me a message on my post, and she said, no, it is for us to talk about things that's going to benefit the black community, that's going to be help uplift us, good memes, good stories, things of positive nature, providing information about what's going on in the black community, that sort of thing. And so I was already in agreement with that aspect of it, because that was my whole plan for today anyway, is to talk about things that we can do and things we haven't seen. Talk about the uprising that's going on, good or bad, people's mindset towards them all. So where is the NAACP? Al Sharpton made a cameo. I know he's not a part of I don't think he's a part of NAACP. But we've seen where a few people have come out and they've made statements. And quite frankly, Ebony, I enjoy the fact that the NAACP is not visible right now. I find that the NAACP and many other organizations who are also buying from black businesses, to add to that, yes, buying from black businesses is what we should be doing today as well. I find that many of these organizations that had a level of fighting the system 50 years ago, 60 years ago, have become part of the system today. We are not surrounded by organizations. The organization that we look to, they are not the same as they were when black people were being lynched throughout the South, when black vote was being severely in your face marginalized, when a white woman could just say this black man raped me and you went to jail automatically, throw away the keys, judge and jury of white peers, of white people, and that was it. We're not in that era anymore. The NAACP and many organizations of the same SCLCU, I think that's how you say it, but they have become more figurehead. They're living on their legacy and not living on, as Janet Jackson would say, what have you done for me lately? These organizations, they had their part to play 50 years ago, maybe even 30 years ago. But they don't have their part to play anymore because they've lost their way. They're now wearing suits and grandstanding, and there's nothing wrong with wearing a suit, but they're grandstanding for CNN. They're grandstanding for whatever is the television, the newscasters, to be there at that moment. You know, we see a lot of this, a lot of grandstanding by many people who we would call celebrity. Some of it is good. I appreciate it. I appreciate LL Cool J. I appreciate Jamie Foxx. I appreciate Nick Cannon. I appreciate those who have at least said something. Many of the athletes that we support haven't said a word. Many of the actors we support haven't said a word. Many of the entertainers haven't said a word. Many of your politicians haven't said a word except get back in line. Get back in line. They said go vote. That's what they want you to do. Killer Mike, T.I., calm down, Atlanta black people. Don't burn down your city. I got a question, though, when it comes to that. Ralph Kelly said Killer Mike. Who owns the CNN Center? We don't. Who owns the College Hall of Fame? We don't. Who owns the buildings downtown Atlanta? We don't. We do not. Most of the land in downtown Atlanta is owned by a few people, a handful of people. But it's not owned by us. So when people say my city, it's only my city out of affiliation that I was born here, or I grew up here, or I live here. But it's not my city in the idea of I own it. Of I own it. Now I will say a lot of the vandalism hasn't occurred by black people. A lot of vandalism did occur by thugs. And I will say the ones who are thugs are the ones who, I'm not here to protest. I'm just here to get some shoes for my son or get some clothes because I'm an opportunist. Now, I do understand righteous anger. And let me be clear. I condone whatever it takes to get things to change. If that means flipping over a police car, flip the damn police car over. Right? If that means staying out past curfew and blocking the highway, even though it irritates me to no end when the highway is blocked, block the highway. I'm no way am I saying that the demonstrators shouldn't be doing what they're doing. Now, Antifa, you don't have a part to play in this other than getting your name out and starting up additional things. But the main part that Antifa is playing is a distraction. You see, black people, we can't get distracted by the number of white people who are helpful, by the number of white thugs who are out there. CNN, CVS, ABC, Fox, they don't own the media anymore. You do. You have to recognize that with these devices, you are yourself a media company. When I'm doing training for people about marketing, about being an entrepreneur, building a business, building a personality, what I have to get them to understand is right off the bat, you are a media company. You are. So whether or not the mainstream media shows Antifa or anyone else who's doing something to agitate, we are the mainstream media. Just this morning, I spent a good 30, 40 minutes for everyone I saw, every post I saw of someone, some white person like Dallas Moore, who formerly worked at a 2 Men in a Truck in Hope, North Carolina. I spent part of my morning calling, Google the company. Hey, do you know that you have Dallas Moore who works for you? Oh, you do. Do you know that this is what he posted online? I spent 30, 40 minutes of my morning for every post that I saw of someone like that who made comments about calling black people, look at the monkeys who are out there, calling their place of employment. Do you know? Do you know? And many other people had the same idea, because every time I call, the whoever answered the phone, the secretary, whomever, said they have been getting calls left and right, and this person no longer works with us, that person no longer works with us. They've been catching the backlash. That's the power that we have, that we have to understand how to use now. And we have to understand how to use. I don't want to miss anybody's question. So, Ebony Garrett said, "That's sad because as a young African American wife and have children, who do we look up to give us guidance and show us how to go about these situations? Everybody is angry and don't know how to express it, which leads to chaos." You are absolutely right. We want to look to those who already have a certain level of influence and power, because we feel that if we back them, or if they are backing us, then something will change. But let's look at the reality of that. Let's look at the reality of it. When our grandparents and my parents were protesting and marching in the 60s, it was grassroots. It was local community leaders. It was local people in your neighborhood. You have to remember that before Dr. King got famous, he was just a decently known pastor in the Atlanta area. Before Huey P. Newton got famous, he was just a guy who had a mission on his mind in California. Before Stokely Carmichael was Stokely Carmichael, he was just a regular guy. We have to remember that these people were built up because they became active, and then other people who heard their message and believed in their vision followed with them. We can't look to the NAACP anymore. It's become part of the system. We can't look to these organizations anymore. They've become part of the system. These congressmen and senators and mayors and they are part of the system now. They are not the grassroots. They've forgotten where they came from. They'll tell you they remember. They like to invoke Dr. King. I love when they like to invoke Dr. King, because it's so funny to me that they invoke Dr. King now. Now they invoke Dr. King. Dr. King would not have liked what's going on. And here's the thing, they're absolutely right. But Dr. King would not have liked us going to Afghanistan. He would not have liked us going to Iraq. He would not have liked us going to any war. They have to remember Dr. King was against the Vietnam War vehemently, which is one of the reasons why he started losing favor with Johnson, with President Johnson at the time. This is why he started losing favor with many other people within his own organization. Because Dr. King was looking at the economic crisis, the economic situation in America, and had realized that his dream had become a nightmare. And he said so in a 1967 interview that parts of his dream has now become a nightmare. That integration is not going to help Black Americans as much as it hurts Black Americans. And it did. Look at us now. Our celebrities that we seem to always in these types of junctures say, where's Michael Jordan? Where's Oprah? Where's LeBron? Where's all these people? They are not going to step up. They are not who you should be backing. You want somebody to look up to. I hate to say it this way, but your best bet is to find somebody whose vision you can get behind. They're probably on YouTube. They're probably on Facebook. They're probably sitting in a space like what I'm sitting in, looking to do something. But be mindful that your vision follows their vision. Be mindful that they are actually doing something, that they are moving in a direction. Be mindful that it doesn't happen overnight. When you do that, that's someone you can look up to. That's someone you can look up to. And they need to have a level of, I don't like using this word because it's so commonly used, but humility about themselves. One of the things that keeps me in that humble, so to speak, and my wife can tell you, I can be very arrogant when I want to, but I'm not arrogant. I'm very confident, and I know what I want, and I'm going to do it. And I don't particularly care what most people think about it. But when I do get messages from people, like I got a message from a gentleman earlier today who was saying that he learned so much from me over the last few years and that he just appreciated it. You see, that makes me realize that what I'm doing is not just for my own sake. Now, I've said many times again that every video I make is really for my children. So that if something happens to me, my children have some way of gaining my knowledge. You know, so when I have conversations with my kids, but that's going outside the point. The point for looking for leadership, find somebody whose mission lines up with what yours is, at least 80%. It's not going to be 100%, but at least about 80%. Garrett Ebony also said that I know that the media is a big part because in my city, in my cities and a lot of cities across the U.S., there are tons of minorities who are cops, but the front lines have shown white versus black. You got to remember, the media is out to get a story. They're out to sensationalize. They need your eyes watching so their advertisers will pay. It comes back to the money. It's not about getting the news out. It's about getting the money in. They're a business. That's their goal. That's what they have to do in order for the business to survive. You know, news is just their vehicle. It's just their product. So what they look at, what's the best way to get our product in front of the people so that the advertisers will want to spend money with us, which is why most news nowadays is editorials and not actually news. They don't take you through a story, give you the end, and go to another story, go to the end. No, they got to tell you what the story meant and what it means, and keep going 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 to keep you locked in, instead of an end to an end of a news cycle. So it's a product. It's a product. So on this Blackout Tuesday, and I must say, the young man, I forgot his name. Let me look it up real quick, because I want to put his name out there. I don't have to put his name out there. His group has acquired over 1 million people now, have joined his group. I think the group's only been around for about 3-4 months, maybe 5. But we're also talking about Blackout Day 2020. And this young man, Calvin Martyr, started the organization, started this group. And he has over 1 million, 1.1 million people thus far, probably 1.2 by tomorrow, or bigger. Blackout Tuesday, today. Blackout July 7th. It's a day where we want to show our economic power. But here's the problem with all of it. And this is the solution as well. We're trying to show our economic power so that what? The government will say, oh, look, dang, if black people take their money out of our white system, then, that hurts us. But if we do it just for a day, it doesn't really hurt. It doesn't hurt at all. If we just, for every Tuesday, we're just going to spend our money with black businesses. For every Tuesday, we're only going to do positive reinforcements to black people. For every Tuesday, we're only going to, we're going to work on our own collective family unity. And then one day, I know the Blackout 2020 is supposed to do one day, and then the next they want to do like a week, and then a month, and so on and so forth. But doing it for one day is not going to make the government take notice. It's not going to make racist people take notice. It's not. It's a good sentiment. And the reason why people can get down with it so quickly is simply because it's easy. It's easy. If you just ask me, hey, for one day, I want you to just drink water. Okay, I can do that for one day. It's not a big deal, right? It's easy. People like to join whatever is easy. But if we really want to make an impact, which is why I am doing the corporate paperwork for a new organization, we have to do something that has a 10-year, 20-year, 30-year, 40-year, 50-year plan that changes how we function as people. I'm glad we're getting started with things like this. I'm glad people are doing something. Don't get me wrong. I'm glad they're doing something. On YouTube, can you see the name? Sackman said, what are your thoughts about the opposing findings, medical examiner results of the family? And see, I haven't actually seen those today. I don't know what so I haven't seen what the medical examiner has said today. Today I have been today I've been doing a lot of work for real estate as well as for Uncle Renz popcorn, so I really haven't been online as much. I spent some time this morning, but not that much. So if you could tell me let me know what they said, and because I don't know. I know that the preliminary was talking about his heart disease and things like that. City says suffocation wasn't the factor. Medical examiner says it was. Family examiner says it was. Well, yeah, I knew the city said that suffocation was in their early preliminaries. And if they come back and change it, I don't know. So I would wait and hold off and see what they say as the final. But now that there's an opposing viewpoint from a family, a private autopsy being done, that's going to put pressure on the government to re-examine what they're saying the cause of death is. Because they know if they leave a loophole, here's the thing, they leave a loophole for this cop to get off, the things and the problems that's happening right now will be escalated to such a higher level if one or all these police officers get off. It will escalate the whole situation again to a much higher level. So I would hold off, give it about 3, 4, 5 days, see if they change. If the medical examiner said, well, that was our preliminary, now we have here's our final. Because as long as there's no opposing thought process from another professional, then they can just say whatever they want to say. But I believe, in all honesty, that they're going to, I was waiting, I knew they was doing that, but in all honesty, I believe that they're going to have to go back and they're going to change whatever they said initially. So, but Blackout. A lot of people are going to join these organizations. A lot of people are going to do these one-time hits. And by the time we get to the fall, if the cases already went through all litigations and that sort of thing, by the time we get to the fall, we would have moved on. I was telling a young lady today at the bank that this is not our new norm. We will fall right back into our old processes unless something is established that will change that. And this is why this week I'm filing the paperwork for right now, unless somebody gives me a better name or better title within the next 48 hours, it will be called Woke LLC. That's WOKE LLC, standing for We Own Key Economics LLC. I know people like them little things like that, but We Own Key Economics LLC. I'll build a Facebook group and all that sort of thing. But the whole idea is, in order for us to change the mindset of America, we have to change the position of black people in America. You see, the mayor of Atlanta, and I appreciate Keisha Lance Bottoms. I appreciate her, but I think she's dead wrong. Dead wrong. Killer Mike, T.I., dead wrong. Dead wrong in what they were saying when we first started having protests here in Atlanta early last week. The thing about it is saying that if you want to protest, then show up in June and vote, show up in November and vote, and leaving it at that is dead wrong. Here's the thing. One of the reasons why I hate voting for presidential elections and sometimes senatorials and gubernatorials is because it is the idea of voting for the lesser of two evils. It's voting for one head of the serpent that is attached to the same body. To me, it is all a hydra, right? Many different heads that are attached to the same body. We vote for this person. They may have slight ideas, but they still are stuck in the system that doesn't change anything because they're beholden to the lobbyists and beholden to whomever gave them money. They think and they tell you that they're beholden to your vote, but that is only during the voting cycle that they come around and they want to know, what can I do? What can I do to help you? Well, you know, I have my annual job fair. You know, I have my annual diabetes health fair. You know, I do these things in the community. But what you're not doing in the community is showing home people in your community how to buy and own the houses in your community. What you're not doing in your community is consistently pontificating to your constituents to support the businesses that are supporting your community in your community, i.e. the black businesses in your community. Because most of the businesses in your community, in our communities, they do not live in our community. The owners don't live in our community. Their kids don't go to school in our community. So they don't care about the roads. They don't care about the education. They don't care about the police brutality. They don't care about these things. Only thing they care about is, are you still going to come to my store? I got your lucky lotto tickets. So these politicians don't care. And they can say it, but their actions don't demonstrate it. So when they say come and vote, do I think that voting helps? 10%. And that's being very generous. 10% is all it helps. 10% because the person that you voted in may do one or two things that benefit you, but the other 99 things that they did benefit some corporation, benefit some buddy friend, benefit somebody who put money in their pocket. It doesn't benefit the community. It does not benefit the community. And that one or two things that they did is the thing that they stand on every time they come and ask for your vote. But let's be real. Black people were originally voting Republican because the Republican Party was the party that freed the slaves, the party of Lincoln. Then we had what's called the Dixiecrats and all that kind of thing, and then black people switched over from the Republicans in the 60s into the Democrats during the 70s, 80s, and up until today. And I have to ask the question, out of all the laws passed, how many of them were beneficial to black people? Civil Rights Act, a couple of acts about housing and redlining and things of that nature. But how many actually were beneficial? We know that during the Clinton era, that more black people went to jail than any other time because the prison industrial complex was fully funded by the Clintons. But yet, black people voted for him in droves. What has actually benefited black people voting Democrat? What has benefited black people voting Republicans? Lincoln didn't free the slaves because he felt it was a moral thing to do. He didn't write the Emancipation. And you got to remember, the Emancipation Proclamation only freed slaves in warring states. If those states weren't warring, but they held slaves, those slaves were still legal. Okay? And remember, legal don't make it right. But those were legal. That was legal. It wasn't until an amendment in the Constitution afterwards that outlawed slavery in America. We actually needed an amendment for that. It's not an amendment you should ever need. Basic human rights should just be basic human rights. No human should own another human. This is why I don't. No, it just doesn't matter. You should not need to tell people that it's not right to own someone. But none of these parties have done. Most of their laws have not helped black people. They were not for black people. If they did help black people, it was a byproduct. The only time laws have been done to help black people, i.e. the civil rights bills, is when black people were in uproar. When civil disobedience was the norm. When constant and consistent economic boycotts, when constant and consistent marching, constant and consistent gatherings, constant and consistent showing up on the streets with rifles, militia, when the fruits of Islam showing up on the streets, ready to tussle, when things of that nature were going on from different perspectives, different people all around the country, then a law was passed that was specific to black people. But as long as we're sitting there quietly, peacefully, calmly, not doing anything, no laws are passed. So voting, no, it doesn't help. It doesn't help because the person you're putting in is not beneficial. Now, I will say this Trump dude got me to such a degree, he almost got me ready to go vote for Biden. He almost got me. That dude, whoo. Ebony said, I don't think it helps because when Kamala Harris spoke on reparations, Republican Senator McConnell said they gave us Obama and our vote had nothing to do with it. I mean, here's the thing. If white people were smart, if the government was smart, they would give us reparations. They would say something to the tune of, hey, we're going to, if you can show your family heritage up to a certain point of being in America, we know records are lost and this sort of thing. But if you can show back to the early 1900s that your family has been here, we'll presuppose that they came out of slavery and whatnot and so on and so forth. And we're going to give you, let's say, $10,000. If the government was smart, they would do that. Let me tell you why. That would be stimulus like nobody's business. The reason why, because most black people are going to take that money and they're going to either pay some bills or go buy a car or go spend it on a whole shopping spree or go on a vacation or buy some toys like a motorcycle or something like that. They're going to, most black people, I would say a good 90% are going to spend the money frivolously, and it will all economically go back into the same hands. It would actually be an economic stimulus for white businesses in America and Asian and Arab businesses in America, because that's where the money is going to go. The money's not going to cycle in black communities. So if the government thought about it, they would be able to quiet black people's noise on reparations, and at the same time, the majority of that money will end up right back in the hands of white people, Asian people, and Arab people, and would not be in the hands of black people. Because 90% of those black people are not in a credit position to take that money and buy a house. They're not in a position to take that money and start a business. They're just not. We're just not. It's the truth of it. So if I was the president, I would say, okay, I'm gonna kill two birds with one stone. I'm gonna give you reparations, then you ain't gonna have nothing to say. Then I'm gonna watch you spend all of it and watch Ford and GM and Toyota and all them get richer. And then you're still going to be in the same position that you were in when I gave you the money a year later. And then you won't have nothing to say. You can't say we didn't give you reparations. What are you going to say now about your situation? So I would do that if I was running the government, because I recognize how it's going to mess people up. Well, not so much mess people up. I just know it's not going to put power in the black community. It's just not. It's not going to give black people power. That's why I don't get out here and I don't rant and rave for reparations. But what I do rant and rave for is our black community. Is us building our community. Is us controlling and owning our community. This is why we own key economics is important. As I've said before, the moment we realize that our true power is in controlling our economics and then controlling a local militia, then we have our seat at the table. We didn't ask for the seat. We didn't beg for the seat. We just strolled right on up to the table, put our chair down, slapped some food on the table, put our drink next to it, brought our own silverware. And while we sat there and dined, we got our own militia daring somebody to come and take our plate. That's when the other people at the table, white people, Asian people, Arab people, that's when they say, gotta respect that person. Gotta respect these black people. Because they came to the table without asking, begging, or pleading, without saying that you owe us, but they came to the table with their own, got it within themselves to do so. Sure, it's not as easy, but we can do it. We could do it. We gotta be willing to put forth the effort, though. You see, everybody wants change, but nobody wants to die. Nobody wants to put their money behind it. Nobody wants to put their labor behind it. We want change, but we want change to happen easily. We want change to happen because I went into a little private booth. I'm voting Democrat. I'm voting Democrat. I'm voting Democrat. Oh, one Republican. And I'm voting Democrat. Oh, one independent. I'm voting Democrat. We want change to happen because we went into a little private booth. We did that, put a little sticker on. I did my part. You can't complain if you didn't vote. You ain't got nothing to say if you didn't vote. You've been voting. I'm 48. I've been voting since I was 18. 30 years of voting. What has it changed? Every major change in my life has not come because of voting or who's ever in office. Every major change in my life came because I made a decision and I put my foot down and walked the path. That's what's made a change in my life. My wife would tell you, my goal is not to live in this country for the rest of my life. The only reason I'm still here right now is because I got married to her. And I'm not mad about that. I don't hold that against her or nothing like that. But since I'm here, and since my kids are going to be here, and since my grandkids are going to be here, I need this place to change. This place got to change. Because when I do come back to visit, I want to walk into the airport and not have that feeling of anxiety. I want to get in a car, drive down the street, and if a police officer get behind me, I don't want to feel that anxiety. And before somebody says something stupid about black on black crime, let me ask you this. I want you to think about this. When you're driving down the street, especially my black men, when you're driving down the street, and if a police officer pulls up behind you and just riding, you know your license good. You know you don't have any warrants. You know your insurance is good. You know you're not speeding. Your tail lights are all good. But you got anxiety. There's anxiety in you about that cop being behind you. Tell the truth. You know it is. There's anxiety within you because that cop is behind you. Now here's the other question. You're driving down the street. Your stuff is all good. Another black man pulls in the car behind you. Young black kids pull in the car behind you. Do you feel anxiety? Be honest. You don't. You don't feel any anxiety when a black person pulls up in the car behind you and you riding down the street. You're not worried about a black person all of a sudden just pulling up to you and start shooting at you. You're not even concerned about that. Even when I get, and I don't, weed stink. Even when I get behind the one that's smoking weed and weed coming out the door and it stink, or they're next to me and they're smoking weed and it stink and the music's blaring, I don't feel any anxiety for the safety of my life when that is occurring. But let a cop pull up. Anxiety. 48-year-old black man, everything's good, anxiety. I want to come to America and not feel that. I don't want to feel that. The only way we get there is for us to take our place. Messenger 2102 on YouTube said, I'm a woman and I feel that way. Exactly. She's a woman and she feels that way. You feel that way about a cop, but you don't feel that way about another black person. Why? Because black on black crime is not the thing that creates fear in you. Police brutality is the thing that is creating fear in you, because every time you see one, there's fear. But every time you see a black person, you are not afraid. So black on black crime is not our biggest issue, because it is not that thing that creates fear in us. And when we're walking around in fear, then we can't get things done, because that fear translates over to the other fear of the bank ain't gonna help me, so I am fearful to even go in there and ask for a loan. Well, let me not say, hey, well, you're asking, apply for a loan. I'm fearful of that, so I won't even go do it. I got to figure out another way. I got to get my income tax money and hope that that's enough money that I can go and I can start a business with it. But now I'm starting a business underfunded, which is already putting me in a position for my business to fail, because most businesses will fail because they are underfunded. Because you're walking around with that same fear when you look at the bank, when you look at applying for a credit card, when you look at building a business, when you see the space, you say, that space, I know I'm going to make more money, but it's owned by a bigger company and they're probably going to say no, but let me pick this low rent place that looks like crap, that doesn't have great drive-by traffic. It doesn't have great pull-up and stop traffic. It's hard to get in and hard to get out. It doesn't have good security. It's not lit very well, but the rent is cheap. And the little Arab dude is going to let me rent it. Let me get that spot right there. And then your business fails and it's struggling. You say, see, black people don't support black business. You put it in a place where nobody's going to support it anyway. Black, white, Spanish, it doesn't matter. You put it in the wrong location. Why? Because of fear, 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 fear. And then whatever religion you believe in doesn't really matter, because they all say that you should not live based on fear, that you are not a person of fear. You weren't made it to be fearful, but yet you walk around living in fear and you're cool with it. Because you're, and the reason why I say you're cool with it, because you're not willing to do what is necessary to change it. If we want to change it, we have to change it. We have to change who we are. We're not going to change it by changing other people. We have to change it by changing who we are, how we live, how we function. That's how we change it. That's how we change it. So let's I can't let this just be ranting. And my wife is going to be home in a few. And I love y'all, but I love her a whole heck of a lot more than I love y'all. So we're going to start with some basics. We got to start with some basics. Now, I will create this week. All right. Woke. We own key economics. We own key economics. Understand, in order for you to own key economics, the first economics you need to control is yours. You need to own yours. We own key economics. So 10% of what you make, you need to save. 10% of what you make, you need to invest. 10% of what you make, go have some fun. And then 70% of what you make, that's your necessities. That's your bills. That's your rent, your mortgage. That's your insurances. That's your car note. That's your food. That's everything. You got to take control of your own personal finances and get here first. 70% is what you live on. Meaning that for if you bring home $5,000, you can only live on 70% of that. Okay? $3,500. $3,500 is all your bills should add up to. All your necessity bills should only add up to $3,500. Then 10%, 10%, 10%. 500, 500, 500. If you are not in that position, you need to start working towards that position. You need to cut some of your fund money, cut some of your bills, drop some of your bills, refinance some stuff, get your credit score right. Look, challenge everything on your credit. Challenge it. But don't challenge it through the disputes online. Those are horrible. You got to get some 609 letters, and you got to be able to submit 609 letters. You submit the 609 letters. There's 3 rounds of it that you can do. Get those things knocked off your credit. Negotiate some bills, knock some bills down. Start living on less. Because if you don't have the 10% to invest, then you cannot build your community. Nobody's listening to you. Okay? Nobody's going to listen to you. Right? You can complain about your streets in your neighborhood. One of the first things they ask, and it's on every application, do you rent or do you own? You can show up at the town hall meeting, but you know who they listening to? They listening to the homeowners. You know why they listen to the homeowners? Because the homeowner pays taxes. They pay real estate taxes into that community. You don't as a renter. So guess who they don't listen to? You. You're not, unless you are backing the homeowners, they're not listening to you. Plain and simple. Now, what else do we need to do? So we got to control our finances. We have to control the businesses in our neighborhood that the people are going to use anyway. What are the businesses that they are going to use anyway? People are always going to get shelter. They're always going to get food, clothing, gas, and I'm just going to say hygiene. And I can't spell it right, but I don't care. So what are we talking about? What are the businesses that we own key enterprises will get involved with and then buy the land? Houses, shelter. For the people who don't own the house, we need to own the houses that they're in, and then they can rent them from us until they can own the house. Food. We got to own our own the grocery stores and the restaurants in our community. Here's one thing that always tripped me out. Go to your local mall, right? In your local mall, you'll see restaurants, you'll see a pizzeria, Asian people own it. You'll see a soul food place, Asian people own it. You'll see a New Orleans style restaurant, I forgot the name of it, that little chain, Asian people own it. You'll see every kind of food, wings and burgers, Asian people own it. So I shot a video, but the video got messed up. I shot a video in front of this one plaza in Latonia that I want to buy. The goal is to buy that plaza or a plaza like it. And one of the things I thought about is that one of the most popular businesses in that plaza is a Mexican restaurant. Why can't a black person own a Mexican restaurant? It's just recipes. It's just recipes. Right? So a black person, we can own the Mexican restaurant. We can own the Italian restaurant. In that same plaza, there's a pizza joint. It's a black-owned pizza joint, right? We can own the pizza joint. We can make any food we want to make. So we can own different restaurants. Stop. Every black person ain't got to open a soul food restaurant. Every Caribbean ain't got to open a Caribbean restaurant. We can open up, and we ain't got to open up a wing joint. We can open up Italian restaurant. We can open up Asian food. We can do New Orleans food. We can do anybody's food. We can do seafood. We can do Mexican food. We can open any restaurant. It's just recipes. That's it. Recipes and decor. Then marketing. That's all it is. It ain't that hard. So we need to own that. And we need to own the grocery stores. Now the grocery store is the bigger endeavor. So that one takes time. We build up until we get there. Clothing. You go into most black communities, the clothing stores are owned by an Asian person, or it's a big box. And most of the time it's one of them cheap big boxes, like Rainbow. I don't know if y'all got Rainbow in y'all community, but here in Atlanta there's some little store called Rainbow. They're everywhere. Then there's some store, I don't know who owns City Gear, but they're everywhere, you know? But we can own our own clothing stores. And it's not that hard as it used to be back in the day. Getting distribution is not difficult. It used to be hard, but now it's very easy. Yeah, you're still going to use things like Alibaba to make contacts with people overseas to be able to get clothes in. But every year, as a member of the America's Mart, or the Merchandise Mart, I go to the Gifts Mart, I go to the gift show, I also go to some of the other clothing shows, just to go, for the most part. But there are distributors from all over, there are manufacturers from all over. You can own a clothing shop. You want to open up a jean store? You can open up a jean store. You can open a denim store, I should say. You can open a denim store. It's not that hard. It's not that hard. It just takes good planning and resources to do so. Gas. We need to own the gas stations in our community. Look, they got Quick Trip is Quick Trip, but why can't you build your own? You start out with a regular little gas station. You build it up. From there, you build your next gas station to be bigger. Once you've had about 3, here's the thing, you need about 3 years of good tax return, 2 to 3 years of good tax return showing revenue that the bank will then say, yes, you have been profitable enough to build and buy your own land and gas station. That's when you go buy your own and do your own. All right, but it takes like 2 to 3 years of good tax returns in order for that to happen. We're not just gonna walk out the door and bam, you just buying the gas station. All right, unless you come in with some good collateral and good credit and you got cash, it's not gonna happen. Most of the time you gotta rent a space and but you can't stop. I rented it. Oh man, we had a great first year. I'm finna go buy this $500,000 house. No, stay put. Stay where you at. Build up. Show profit. Yeah, you gotta pay taxes on that profit, but show some profit. So that the bank will say, oh, you know what? You showing enough profit that we can trust you to buy this place. All right? My wife just, thank you, yes. I appreciate. Oh, okay, there we go. YouTube's back. I'm very cautious about doing business on my own. I would like to be a person that would like to invest. Okay, so and then let me answer that one. Oh, I'm gonna get back to yours there, Messenger. The other one is hygiene. We know our people are going to go to drugstores, you know, your CVS, all that kind of stuff. We know they're going to go to drugstores, Walgreens, and all that. And we also know that they're going to go buy beauty supplies. I still don't understand how we're not taking over the beauty supply industry at this point. But we're gonna take that. We're taking that. We're taking that back. This was gonna be called Community Take Back Group, but I like woke better. We're gonna take that. We're gonna take the nail salons back. We're gonna take all these types of industries back. It doesn't take as much to open up some of these businesses. A beauty supply store can be opened up for $25,000, $30,000, right? A decent version of one. A more extravagant one, yeah, you're talking $100,000 through $200,000, $300,000. If you want to get out really out there, $500,000. But you can open up that first. We can open up that first decent, well supplied, well organized, well maintained, very well trained beauty supply store for $20,000 to $50,000, right? We can, and then the marketing becomes vital. Well, the marketing is vital, but the strategy is even more important. Let me tell you why strategy is more important. Strategically, especially if I'm doing this by myself, or even as part of if other people invest, I'm going to let every investor know that your first couple of years, do not expect to make money. Do not expect to make money. In 5 years, I want your investment back in your hands, but do not in the first 3 years, right? We need to take back the corner stores too. Exactly, the corner store, we need to take those back. Apply for a loan at your credit union. Credit unions are better to get loans from. And credit unions give you, if you need to build your credit, do a shared loan at your credit union. Just do a shared loan at your credit union. And then I've done videos telling you how to set that whole thing up, so that I'll do another one later about how to set that up. But lost my train of thought. But here's the thing: don't expect any money, because our first goal is not to make a bunch of profit. Our first goal is to run the other ones out of business, to dominate the area that store is in, to make it the go-to place. You know, here's the thing: people aren't going to come and shop with us because we black in the very beginning. The majority are not. You know, I've shown you guys the law of central diffusion, law of innovation many times, and the bulk of the people aren't coming because you black. All right. So basically, you got about 3% of the people who are going to come because you black initially, who are going to come immediately because you're black. Then you got about another 12%. They're going to come because you black, but also because you're doing a pretty good job. Now, you can survive on this little 15%, 10, 15%, you can survive on that. But but what you need is about an 18% tipping point in order to get mass movement. That's when you get into this 34% of the early majority. They didn't come because you black. They came because your prices are lower. They came because you're well organized and well stocked. They came because these 18% of the people kept going. These people are the ones, they're just going to follow because of that. And they're going to join. And that's when you start to make money. So we don't make money till we get that 34% coming. This other 34%, the late majority, they come because you've ran the other one out of business for the most part. The other one's hurting. Their supply is not as good, and you've become a common place to go. They know the name. They know the brand. This 16%, they are not coming at all until there's no other place for them to go, period. Point blank, period. These will be the people that will still own a gas-ran car until there are no more gas stations. Until all gas stations are electric, they still gonna run a gas car. Those people we ain't worried about. This is the crew we trying to get. We got to get this crew right here. We get that crew right there, then we are a successful business, and we have ran our competition out. So like the corner stores that's ran by the Indians and the Asians and whomever, When we got that percentage of the community coming, then we can make profit. Then we expand. Then we grow. Then we dominate, because we'll be dominating them. When we get them, that's 34%. That's when we're ready to challenge the big boys. You talk about corner stores. That's when we're ready to challenge Quick Trip. That's when we pull up right alongside Quick Trip and open up a big old gas station with all the trimmings on it that we done took and spent about $1 million to build it, $2 million to build it. That's when we're ready. That's when we buy a whole plaza and we own the entire plaza. That's also when we own the bank. You see, the problem with most black banks in America, the black banks in America, is that they're still beholden to Wall Street. They're still beholden to Wall Street. They're still beholden to those people who are pulling the string. They may be black in face, but that's it. Systematically, they are just the same as any other bank, period. Nothing bad against them, but they're the same as any other bank. If I went into one of those banks and asked for loans, they're actually more stringent than me going to Bank of America. I actually, somebody said about their credit union, Crystal said about credit union. Our cars, pretty much everything that we have that's big is financed through our credit union, through Navy Federal, because it's easier and the rates are lower. But within this plan, there is the plan to open a bank. And woo, when I tell you it's a bank, it's a nice bank. And the plan for that bank will allow for people to be able to build their credit, to not be charged fees at the yin-yang, for them to be able to acquire mortgages, whereas they wouldn't be able to acquire mortgage from other places, from other people, other banks, and for them to be able to start a business. The person will have to go through a series of events in order to get it, but it won't be the same BS that they send you through now. I'm going to give you one piece of that one, just a piece of that one, just so you understand. And when I ask you to join this, you'll understand the mindset behind it. Just one piece of it. One piece of it is that I'm going to tell everybody who joins this bank that if you have your direct deposit going to our bank, right, and then you take this online class of how to do my financial alchemy class, which teaches you how to budget your money and how credit works. Take this online class, pass the test, and then we will give you a credit card of 10% of your wages. So if you earn $50,000 a year, we're going to give you a credit card of $5,000 with a $5,000 limit on it. Right off the bat. All you got to do is have your direct deposit come to our bank, pass this program, this online program of teaching you how to manage your money, manage your money, manage your money, manage your money. Once you complete that, here's your Visa, MasterCard, whatever card it is, for $5,000 or 10% of what you earn on your gross. Now, as you show us 12 months of being able to manage that correctly and build your credit through our system, our class, and our training that we have for you, and you pass a few other things, we're going to 100% finance you the mortgage for your home. You ain't got to be a veteran and be VA. We just going to get it to you. We're going to give you 100% finances based on our algorithms in order to get you there. The reason why, because you've shown financial proficiency in order to deserve this. We're not going to make it hard for you. We're going to make it easy for you. You just got to do the legwork of the educational part and managing your finances. And we're good. Tell me what bank does that. None. None. And it's a lot more intricate as well. There's more to build up the community. Way more, because we will give you this loan to buy a house in your community. We ain't giving you a loan to go buy a house somewhere else. You're buying it right here, right where you live, because we need you to be a part of your community. I'll be into finding out from the potential customers what they are looking for in that community. And you're absolutely right. And we want to do those kind of things. And great concept. Thank you, Crystal. We want to be part of, well, it's not a want to be, we will be part of the community. We will help them build their community, every community. You know, every black community will have an opportunity to be able to build itself, to own itself. And the more we own the community, then we can truly say we are blacking out. But it ain't a blackout Tuesday. It ain't a blackout on July 7th. It's a total blackout, period. It is a total idea of we are keeping our money in our community and we are circulating. Our black children are seeing that thing. When I go to the doctor in my community, black people. When I go to the corner store in my community, black people. When I go to the Mexican restaurant, black people. When I go to the Chinese restaurant, black people. When I go to the beauty supply, black people. Barbershop, black people. Liquor store, black people. When I go to the clothing store in my community, black people. Everywhere they go, they're gonna see black people, so that the child doesn't say, "Well, when I grow up, I wanna be an athlete. I wanna sing." No, that child does it because they are talented enough to do it. But every other child says that I can be all these different things. There's an engineering firm in my neighborhood. There's an architectural firm in my neighborhood. I want to live there. There's a construction company in my neighborhood. There's a glass company in my neighborhood. There's an art gallery in my neighborhood. There's a music shop in my neighborhood. To be able to see everything in their neighborhood, that child grows up thinking and knowing that there are so many options out there. So whatever talents they have, whatever interests they have, they can go do it. Oh, Mr. Johnson, who lives over here, he's an anthropologist. I didn't know that they had black anthropologists, but he's in my neighborhood. You don't have everything. Everything. There's a museum in my neighborhood. That's that's the plan. And we got to have the vision for it. We have to have the vision for it. As long as we have the vision for it, we can make it happen. We can do it. All right? That's my vision. That's my plan. So that every child will have options of being the greatest version of themselves that they can possibly be. And so that every parent knows that when their child goes out, their child is safe, because the We Own Key Economics is also supporting a black militia that works, that watches over our neighborhood. And when the police show up, they show up. When the police are driving down the street, they see them patrolling the area. They see the black militia of that community in their cars patrolling the area, ensuring the safety of our children. And when the police pull someone over, they go over there. They're watching. They're recording. They're assessing for themselves. They're protecting themselves. They see that. And when the police see that, then they know, hey, I can't go into Latonia and act a fool, because they watching. And they're there to protect each other. And they're raised, and their kids are in good environments. That's the vision. To live in peace and to live in prosperity and live in abundance. That's the vision. So if you can get behind that vision, as I begin to move forward in each step of this, if you want to be a part of it, just let me know. If you don't, then hey, spread the word. All right? At least that. At least spread the word. So as I make the groups, join the groups, as I incorporate it, if you want to buy shares, and it will be straight up buying shares. You and Carlene, you're going to be straight up buying shares, stock certificates, the entire deal. I don't do half but on the paperwork when it comes to business. It's going to be straight up, because the IRS and nobody's going to ever come say something to us about nothing. All right? So let's get it on. And yeah, there will be a charity wing of it. And the reason why? Because we're going to take the profits from this and support the own charity. That way we get a higher tax deductible. You got doggone right. Use the system how they use it. So everything will be easy. So if you want to do that, let's do it. If you want to join me. And I'm not begging. Let's get it straight. Y'all know how I am. I'm very straightforward. I'm not begging. I'm going to do this with you or without you. All right? Because I take my own money from Uncle Renz Popcorn and just do it. I don't care. But it's going to get done, because this is what I want for my grandkids and my great-grandkids. All right? So I appreciate you guys. I'll be back. Be more lives. Keep on talking. Keep on moving. Remember, you got to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. And good vibrations, good journey.